Connelly, C-O-N-N-E-L-L-Y, Garrett, G-A-R-R-E-T-T. I have both a general and specific. I'd like to say my heating bill has gone from $700 a month to $140 just by adding insulation, and I have more to do. So I want to talk a little about the general world that we live in. There's a grotesque alliance between the political and economic elites. Kinder Morgan is a criminal corporation. It exists because it fled Enron with the physical assets and left 10 to 20,000 people without their retirement. If the assets would have stayed there, the people would have got their retirement, or at least part of it. Now, the governments of the U.S. and Massachusetts wants the people of Massachusetts to pay for a Kinder Morgan pipeline that will carry U.S. gas to the coast where it can be shipped. So the people have to pay to be extorted from. This is direct evidence of a corrupt and perverted government allied with a criminal corporation to rip off the people. The corporate extraction industry is set to destroy democracy in Massachusetts, just as it does in small, defenseless countries with an alliance of U.S. government and corrupt dictators. They're going to do it here. They're doing it everywhere. There's a 40-inch pipeline leaving Texas for Mexico. They're taking every ounce of resources as fast as they can get it. The U.S. has destroyed more democracies than any country on earth, and Massachusetts is next. Have public institutions in Massachusetts already become accomplices in fraud with the economic elite? Lest this sound pessimistic and hopeless, the people are cosmic-powered biology surfing Big Bang at life speed. And Big Bang is still banging. It is accelerating, and conscious life is expanding just as fast. Corporatism has taken over the U.S. just like it did in Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, and communist Russia. The difference is we now live in the information age. We now know that democracy is an essential tool for focusing distributed human intelligence. Quantum physics and information science supports the people, and victories are adding up in varied places: Seattle, Los Angeles, Greece, Barcelona, Madrid, and Turkey's rebuff of the oligarchy. There is the most recent. Experience is building, and many are beginning to realize that the democracy of the future does not need a state. Massachusetts state government has a clear choice. It can exercise its reason to exist and protect the people, or it can join in the U.S. and corporate attack on our democracy and attempt to make the people buy a pipeline for the elite and economic class. Let's not forget that the partisan political class was only able to muster a 13% turnout in the primary election. It's almost finished. A tremendous reserve of distributed human intelligence is waiting in the wings, and this is just as a coast to coast. The governor of California, for example, won with 18% of the voting age people. People are abandoning and boycotting the electoral process because they don't trust the government, and the people are ready and able to take back politics. In summary, this corporation is a criminal pirate sucking the joy of life from our culture and turning it into exploitation and cold cash. We need harbor no anger at the immoral behavior of this pipeline company and its alliance with the political elites. It is only doing what all the other immortal corporate monsters are doing, destroying life on Earth to get more electronic money digits than any other immortal monster, faster and faster. Corporatists rip at the living Earth to get the biggest share.
My name is Tom Wilson, W-I-L-S-O-N. I'm a retired dentist from Sheldon Falls, but I'm still an active activist. I'm afraid I don't have I'm afraid I consider you people bought and paid for, and I don't have much trust in what you're listening to or not listening to. And I may be a little paranoid about the whole situation. But these people, Kinder Morgan and their government and utility allies, have some nerve conspiring to lie to us about the demand side of their fracked gas and expecting the ratepayer to pay for the increased supply side cost from which we will hardly benefit. Franklin County is not that rich. Kinder Morgan expects to make huge profits from sales overseas. Somebody should investigate, but we can't trust the federal or state regulators. We will not be fooled by another one of these bureaucratic shows put on to bamboozle the public. The scope of our concern is more than money. The scope of the corporation and its allies is not. We are constantly being called upon to protect the land, the air and water, the safety of our children and ourselves. Now we are being threatened by another corporate disaster that takes aim at future generations and the environment. We have been to enough of these shows put on by corporation-controlled government agencies or federal regulators to realize that we are being lied to, not fully apprised of the consequences, and not heard when we speak out. It is clear that we need to organize, train, prepare for a radical, unarmed revolution. Yeah! We should start by running the regulators, along with Kinder Morgan, out of the valley. We cannot be civil under these threatening circumstances. It is time to hit the road, people, and maybe the trenches, and take direct action against the pipeline and fracking. The help of the environment is still in our hands. Let's act now.
Tarry, T-A-R-R-Y, and I am actually continuing the second part of remarks of David Gilbert Keith, who spoke earlier. He had to leave to care for someone, and then I'll just make a brief comment. The second part of his remarks, of David Keith's remarks, had to do with credibility. The representations by Kinder Morgan of this project have earned careful attention. First, Kinder Morgan showed pictures of a 2,000 horsepower compressor station when it intends to install an 80,000 horsepower station. At this time, it was actually talking about an even bigger station. Second, at its Greenfield open house, it used a poster citing Competitive Energy Services. Competitive Energy Services was sued by FERC for tens of millions of dollars for defrauding ISO New England for winter reliability reimbursements. I know it is easy to get caught by an unreliable source, but the irony in this instance is that the poster described how much New Englanders are likely to save on electricity once there's more gas, while citing a source found to have committed a fraud that cost the same New England ratepayers millions. And third, finally, in 2011, Kinder Morgan reached a settlement agreement with FERC concerning over-recovery for used and lost and unaccounted for gas. FERC noticed that in 2008, Kinder Morgan reported receiving 6.7 million cubic feet of gas from shippers and used or lost 2.9 million cubic feet of that, quote, resulting in a fuel over-recovery, which you probably know what that means, of 3.8 million cubic feet. Similar numbers in 2009 led FERC to estimate that when the value of the extra gas retained by Kinder Morgan was factored in, its return on equity was 29% in 2009. Setting aside the surprising amount of fuel used and lost in transit, it seems that Kinder Morgan was being compensated in two ways for the same thing. It was retaining fuel from shippers, and it was compensated for 3.3% losses by rate adjustments to consumers. Either way, regulators had to intervene to claw back money ratepayers would have had to pay. And thanks to that, that's the comments of David Gilbert Keith. And I would just add my own comment that it seems like, I would reiterate that Rudy Perkins' remarks are very pertinent to your deliberations, as is Paul Lipke's remarks, as is the inference of the environmental protection law that was just passed that I can't remember. But most of all, Steve Hewlett's remarks and his forcefulness of. And I would say what is also pertinent is a letter that came out by 12 U.S. senators, or 11 U.S. senators today, calling on FERC to really question any more pipelines that are going to be used for export. And they particularly singled out the NED pipeline, and that was led by, I think, Senator Al Franken. And you know, they say the road to hell was paved with good intentions. And I learned today that they were actually paved by the International Brotherhood of Big Buffy Guys from somewhere else. Thank you.
Yeah.